Mine, okay, so we're like, I'm wondering, so we're sharing, like, I want to like screen share videos,
Mhm.
but my internet might not be great. So if it happens that it's like staticky, would you mind doing it? Or like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So I shared the PowerPoint already,
I
and then
saw
I
that.
have a, yeah, and then I already have, and then I have a YouTube playlist of all like the stuff, but we don't have to watch all of it because that's a lot of trailers. We don't need to watch all that.
Yeah, if yours doesn't work, I'll definitely do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, it's been raining, so like my internet's been kind of wonky.
Mhm.
But yes. Hi, Ishika. Ishika?
Hi.
Is that how you say your name? Ishika?
Yeah, Ishika.
Ishika. Oh, nice to meet you. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
We're gonna. Oh yeah, we're actually early. Never mind. We'll wait. How is everyone's day?
Mine was good. I had like 5 classes today.
5.
Was
Why are
it?
you taking? What? You take
Well,
5?
I'm taking 5 classes and I scheduled them pretty badly.
Uh,
So,
I cannot do that. 5. Oh, 1 is enough. Hello, Anthony.
Hello.
I think I'm gonna wait for Cole said he might join, but he said he also has a leak. So
Yeah.
we shall see. I'm gonna check. Oh, hello, Erica. Hi. Let's see. Hi, Evie.
hi.
We're just gonna wait a bit to see if Cole's gonna join. But yeah, other than that, we should be fine. Hello, Cole Cake Losser. Okay, I think we have.
Hey, Nolly, I am here. I am all good to go. I'm not home because the leaking in my roof in my apartment necessitated me coming home and leaving
Really?
John to be the sole member of our our bedroom to
Oh my
take
gosh.
and making sure that our room is not flooded.
Wait, so is your leak that bad?
Basically, like they were like, well, it wouldn't have been awful if not for the fact that like we had a couple different leaks in the bedroom coming from basically around the 5th floor of the block. Like there's the terrace like right above us, so that's the main issue. And then basically like, there was like literally like water like coming through the fire alarms. So both like multiple fire alarms were going off. It was just not a great thing. I believe the fire alarms to like stop, but like I'm like if I can go home, I'm gonna go home because I can do that easily. So here I am.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I hope it gets fixed. I hope your
I
leak
hope
gets.
so too.
Oh my gosh.
That was not fun at all. It was too eventful for my taste.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, hey, James. Hello, Abigail. Okay, I think. Should we go ahead and start, or do you want to wait?
Let's see here. We're about so we're 7:03. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe like a couple more minutes. But like, do we have the Google Slides up?
Okay, I can go ahead and share my screen.
But I mean, honestly, considering that we only like considering the amount of people that we can go like just do roses and thorn like a rose and thorn pretty quickly.
That's true. Yeah, we can go ahead and do highs and lows of the week. I can start. My high is I'm getting my laptop. I'm getting a new laptop tomorrow. I'm really excited. like okay, so I have a Dell laptop. I named him Michael because corporations. But I hate him. I don't care. I have an abusive relationship with my laptop. So I've had like Zoom meetings and it'll die on me like twice. So I'm really excited for my laptop. The thorn is that I don't know. I don't really have a thorn this week. I'm having a good week. How about you,
Gotcha.
Cole?
Yes. Okay. So wow. I guess my thorn for today was pretty big. I kind of explained it. So there's leaking in my apartment, unfortunately. So I had to abandon my roommates and head back home for the foreseeable future. I'm probably just going to stay a few more nights before it actually gets fixed because the rain has to stop for us to for the ceiling to potentially get fixed. So that's my low. My high is that I have the see my parents and my sister here, so that's very nice.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh.
Indeed.
All right, why don't you just popcorn it to someone?
I'll give it to Caroline P.
My low is that I can't think of a low. I guess that's a good thing. I can't think of a low. I'm kind of a little bit tired, I guess. My high is that I've been cooking in my kitchen and we have good meals planned for this week. And
Aww.
I'm gonna popcorn it to EB.
Hello everyone. So my rose is that I'm having cupcakes right now. They're so yummy. They're fresh out of the oven.
Oh my gosh.
Orange flavor, and it had a chocolate. So good. And my thorn is I had a quiz on Friday and I need to memorize 40 objectives, but we'll do this. And I'll go ahead and pass it to Tara.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. My high this week is that I guess it's halfway done. Labor Day made it feel super short, so that's nice. And my low is that I'm taking a class with like a very, very conservative professor who made us literally sit in class for an hour and a half and just watch Fox News because he doesn't think we get enough access to Fox News, I guess. And that was a lot.
Carol.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a weird professor.
Are you?
Yeah.
Is this a law class?
Yeah, I mean, it's like pre-law class. He teaches like con law and a bunch of stuff like that, but it was interesting.
That's so funny. Well, yeah, we don't have enough access to Fox. I agree.
It's
I'll pop
because
forward.
most of my journalism professors don't consider Fox News to be real news, so they definitely do not watch that for news.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. I'll popcorn to Tamara.
Well, I don't think I've really had a low. I guess my low would have been I got wet today because I had to go out in the rain to pick up some stuff. My high also like Nyla, I'm also getting what's it called? I'm getting a new laptop, hopefully. Like my mom finally getting a laptop, but I'm waiting on her to see when she can get it for me, but hopefully it'll be soon. Sorry, Natalie, I butchered. I'm so tired right now. My professors are
No, you're good. You're good.
All day.
Okay. Hi, Lily. We're doing highs and lows of the week. So
Okay.
All right, Tamara. Yeah, why don't you go popcorn it?
I guess I'll popcorn it to Willie.
So my high of the week, I guess, was we had a quiz in this class, and I got 100 on the quiz. And my low, I guess, would be it's been raining all week. All day. So I couldn't go outside at all. So yeah.
Oh, well, good job on that 100.
Yeah, thanks. Has Ishika gone? Ishika or?
Hi, I haven't.
My rose would be my parents came up to Austin over the weekend and it was really fun. And I don't have a thorn. It was a pretty good week so far. I'm gonna popcorn it to Anthony.
Hey guys. So my roast this week will probably be getting this massive box of snacks for my sister. Has candy and chips and all kinds of good things in it. My thorn, no thorns. Life is good right now.
Oh, I love that. I'm so happy for you.
Let's see. Who hasn't gone yet? James.
Hello, James here. My high would be I got bikes, and I mean, I'm still trying to fix them up. I have to put the chain on them and all, but I finally got bikes after like 2 years of not riding a bike. So that's my high. My low is this is day 2 out of 3 where I'm literally busy from 7 until 6. So that is not fun, but the last day that happens is tomorrow, so I'm ready for Friday. And then who else hasn't gone yet? Abigail? Okay, your turn.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes, we can hear you.
My high and low kind of go together, and my low is gonna make me sound like such a bad person and super unpopular opinion. And I'm very glad that we had a long weekend, but I'm very structured and routine. And sometimes I really just don't like long weekends because they mess with like my entire week, especially if I'm taking like Tuesdays and Thursdays I have one schedule, and then Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays I have another. So then all week I'm all messed up, and I'm like, what is happening? Like it just like completely, like I almost wish like I like that they give us a break, but then maybe we could still tune into class or something. I don't know. I just need like, it's for some reason it just really messes with my head, and I'm not able to kind of get back on track. But my high is that over the weekend I was able to watch a lot of movies and stuff like that. So I mean, I took advantage of the time off. Yeah.
Oh my god, Abigail, I have never heard someone like complain about a long weekend.
I know, I sound so crazy. And it's like, I like the time off, but it ends up like it's nice for the weekend that the time is off, but then the days after are like way more stressful, because the days after I'm like, what day is it? Like, what is happening? Is it Wednesday or Thursday? And then today I'm like, this is the first day of class in the week for my like 3-day classes, but it's also Wednesday, and then I have stuff due Friday, and then I'm so
Okay, wow.
But it's not like horrible. It's like a little baby thorn.
Okay, yeah. It's a baby thorn. Oh, that's so cute. Okay.
And I'll pick Derry to go next.
My high is that I don't have classes for the rest of the week, so that's nice. I guess my thorn is just a lot of my readings are due on Monday, so it's gonna be like a very reading heavy weekend. I'll popcorn it to Erica.
Hi, so my high for the week is probably today. It was really rainy here today, so like I just had like my cup of tea and I was just vibing with the weather because I don't know, I like when weather puts me in like different moods. It's very enjoyable. And then my low, well, I have two. First of all, I love sweets, but I don't have any at home. And like I can't really like bake or cook because it's one or the other. It's like it comes out really well and I'm like, oh wow, or like it's like I burned down the kitchen. So like there's two extremes that I can go to. So we don't risk it anymore because I've caused too much trouble in the kitchen already.
No, I'm sure you haven't.
once we had like a bottle of like olive oil in like a glass bottle, and I shattered the whole thing, and it was a mess to clean up, and I stepped on it, so yeah, that was fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of like my rose and my thorn.
No, I'm glad. Is Jess the only
Jess
one that
hasn't gone.
hasn't? All right, Jess.
Jess Seymour.
My high of the week is that I bought chocolate muffins at HEB, and it was a really great decision. My low is that I really want one right now, and I'm not eating it, so I'm gonna go get one.
Chocolate muffins from HEB are the best. Like, they're so good. I agree with you.
Like baked products in general,
Yes.
I think don't get enough hype.
It's not like I baked a whole chocolate cake last night, but
I appreciate both.
LOL, the
I
shade.
appreciate both
The
those things.
shade.
Okay, so has everyone gone for roses and thorns so that we can go ahead and start our presentation? Sorry, that's super awkward. I don't know why is it like that. But okay.
I think everyone has gone, Cole. I think everyone.
Sweet, then.
Okay, would you like me to share or you?
If you can share, that'd be great.
All right, I shall
pull
do
up
it.
as well.
I got you.
Thank you.
Okay, can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna
yes.
Present. Oh. Oh, well, don't look at that. Close your eyes. Okay. Okay, hello everyone. Can everyone hear me? I just want to make sure.
Yes, can definitely hear you.
Perfect. Hello everyone to this. Oh, sorry. I totally forgot that I'm on Zoom. Oh, wait. Let me. Okay. Hi everyone. Today, this week's meeting, we are going to talk about disability and horror media. Woo! It's such a scary topic. Okay, so first of all, how do you guys feel? Like, what is your perception of disability in horror media so far? Anyone have like some thoughts in the beginning,
Historically, it has not been great.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything dealing with like disability in media hasn't been great. Anything diversity in media honestly hasn't been great.
Actually, I don't remember the statistic, but I remember reading a study that actually disabled people are actually represented more in horror media than any other genre.
Oh, wow, I did not know that. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's also kind of a double-edged sword because they're usually portrayed as the villains. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's basically. Oh, that's kind of where my next point will go. So, usually people portrayed in like disability in horror films are generally demonizing disability. So a disability studies teacher tells us that they use horror as like imagery, and like since disability has like an imagery of being crippled, and so they're like, oh, this person is crippled, then symbolically they have like a crippling heart, they have like a decaying morality. So a lot of times if you see disability in media or in horror, it's generally they are the villains. So like if you think of like kind of like the villains of the story generally have some sort of disability. Darth Vader, the Joker, even like Captain Hook, like he's like seen as like deformed, which is not great. We love that. And it's usually, so disability is usually used as like a convenient plot point. Like they're never fleshed out, and it's literally just because, disability, if you're disabled, you look scary or you look different from us, so you're gonna be a villain. Or it's like, this is really uncomfortable, so this is scary. And it's just really sad. A lot of times this happens. And so has anyone seen the movie Split?
I have.
I've seen it. It's really gross. I don't like it.
Okay, so there's like a trend for like when disability is portrayed as like the villain of the story, generally it's like some sort of psychological disability. So like a lot of people, it's like, oh, the people that are like quote unquote mad or scary, and like they are actually the like people with mental illnesses are gonna hurt you, but in reality, statistically shows that like people with mental illness are generally the victims, not the ones that are getting like inflicting. But basically, Split is a story. It's like a horror film where this guy kidnaps these 3 girls, and this guy has 25 different personalities, and that's sort of like the whole thing. Like it's like it's a lot. So I'm gonna show you the trailer. Let me know if you guys can't like hear the video. Then I'm just gonna switch the screen to Caroline. Can y'all hear the audio?
I will say that like just considering the like the first second of the ad, I think there's gonna be a delay in the visual aspect of it.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm not sure if that's gonna be like.
No,
I mean, we can also potentially include like a link.
Yeah, I put a playlist of all the YouTube videos that like I wanted to show. So I guess I'll you guys can watch it at the end of the presentation. Does that work? Or do you wanna?
I mean, potentially, could we
Or
allow
we could,
people like 5 or so minutes to watch the videos on their own if you give them the link and then come back and then talk as a group?
yeah. Actually, yeah, that would be great. I'm going to
Because I just don't want to have the like the visual like and the audio delayed as well.
I agree. I'm going to share you the YouTube on my YouTube playlist. And then that has all of them of like what we're going to talk about today.
So let's see here. It looks like
I'm
sorry, I'm calculating how many minutes.
Oh, I mean, we don't have to watch all of them. The main ones I do want to go over is Split and Hush. But when we have, but the rest we can just kind of gloss over. And then if you guys can watch at your own time. I can't find I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment.
It's
easier to.
Thanks for being patient, y'all.
Okay, here you go. But yes. Okay, so I shared with you guys the YouTube playlist. So go ahead and watch the first Split trailer, and then when you're done, just come back. All right, let me know when you'll finish with that video. All right, has everyone finished watching the split trailer?
I believe so. I think so.
Okay, so any thoughts after watching the trailer? What are your thoughts?
So I'll start off. I just want to say that I'm really excited that we're talking about this movie because I don't personally have DID, but which also I think it's interesting that they call it multiple personality disorder when that's an outdated name and it's like a very Hollywood name, like multiple personality disorder. It's actually called dissociative identity disorder now.
Yes.
But yeah, for like years, I think for like 2 years, I had like a huge special interest in this disorder because it's just so interesting how it happens. And I just think it's kind of crazy that the way that it manifests, like this could have been such an interesting opportunity to like educate people on like just what a remarkable thing the brain is and trauma and everything. And instead they just do this with it. And especially that scene where the psychiatrist is like, also I haven't seen the movie, but that scene when the psychiatrist, although it's funny because in a lot of literature they actually always bring up this movie and they're like, yeah, it's so horribly done. And it's funny that the psychiatrist is like, I've never heard of this before, blah blah blah, and it's actually a lot more common than you think, which is the case with a lot of these things. But I'll stop talking because I could like ramble on about this for like hours.
No, Abigail, that was really Abigail, right? The talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was such good points. I totally agree with you that Hollywood plays like, especially multiple multiple personalities. That's such a huge Hollywood trope just for like to make the villain or like make it bad. But yes, you brought up really good points. You could honestly just keep talking. Like I would love to hear you talk. Does anyone else have thoughts?
I think it's interesting that Hollywood kind of exploits the general misunderstanding and like limited education that most Americans have about disability and kind of like use it as like a cheap like horror trope instead of actually taking the time to really understand it.
Yes, for sure. It's literally just a plot point to be like, oh, disability's scary. They're evil.
I would also like to add that around the world, because I do have friends and also I've been outside from the US. A lot of people base off movies about disability. And so, just to elaborate what Tara was saying, that's the only education they have on disability movies. So that's not only the US, but also around the world. And when you talk to someone outside the country and you tell them about your disability or anything, they're just going to base off on movies as well.
Yeah, that's the really sad part about like disability representation in media. Like it's just there's not enough education on like the people who make the media, and then it gives us false info, and everyone it's just like a bad circle around.
And I'm also really curious with a lot of these movies. I'm curious if the people who like produced the movie and wrote the script and the actors, I always stop and think, I wonder if like if there's anyone on that team that actually like has this disability, or if everyone's just kind of like guessing and using it almost for like creative license, but at the expense of a lot of people.
Honestly, Abigail, I bet you they don't. Like, I bet it's literally just creative license. Like, this is the sad part.
I mean, I definitely think like depending on like the plot line within a movie, if it's like one of the main plot lines is disability, and I think depending on the person and the disability being represented, like sometimes you will have either like you'll try to have actors who have experience with that disability or somebody with on the staff who, but I think in terms of with dissociative identity disorder, I think it's just so generally stigmatized that like it'd be a challenge to find somebody to bring about like an educational standpoint or bring about like real life experience in for this movie potentially. I know that's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna move on. So another movie. Has anyone seen the movie Us? It's pretty popular.
I have.
Yes. So the actress who played Red, like Lupita, I'm not gonna say it. Okay. The actress actually, she used to make her voice sound quote unquote scary. She actually used sorry, I can't read it. She used I forgot the word. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Well, she used a respiratory disability, basically to make her sound quote unquote scary. And she actually got a lot of she got a lot of what is the word? She got a lot of a backlash because of it. And it's like kind of upsetting because okay, so like her quote was like, "Oh, I wanted to copy Robert F. Kennedy, who had a I can't remember. Sorry, I didn't write it down. I should have. But I put it in my notes. Hold on. Sponmadiac dysphonia. Sorry if but he that's what she like copied her like scary voice after, and that's really upsetting, especially to that community because like literally she's just saying, oh, I'm gonna make this creepy voice, and then everyone was like praising her for having this like quote unquote creepy voice, but then this really community was pretty upset about this. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting and kind of upsetting that they literally just did that just so they could be like scary. Anyone have thoughts about this one? Okay, we're gonna move on. So has anyone seen the movie Hush? All right, well, so like yes, disability is seen as like evil, quote unquote, but there are actually like another trope that horror movies employ disability is like them as a victim, which honestly a lot of like disability representation in media, a lot of the disabled people are the victims, like in the story plot point. But Hush in particular is interesting. So the girl she's a deaf writer, and the whole plot point is because she is deaf, she's not able to hear that her killer is like going like there's an intruder in her house. That's basically the whole plot point, and that's really upsetting. Why don't you guys watch this one? Watch this trailer and then come back. And it should be in the playlist. But yes. All right, it looks like people are back. Is everyone back?
I think so.
Yes,
Okay. So, thoughts about this one?
I haven't seen the whole movie, but like it feels like her disability was just like a blip and like unnecessary to tell the story. Like you can just be stalked and almost murdered, like, and be able to hear, and a person can just be quiet.
Oh my God, Caroline! I totally agree.
I literally watched a movie with a similar premise a few months ago, but like they're literally stalking her through like her webcam and all that, but she didn't have any disability like that. That wasn't a part of the movie at all. It was just them
Yeah,
stalking her.
it seems like there was just some kind of
She was
connection
just,
of
she
like,
was just incompetent. She just didn't lock the door. Just lock the door, chief.
it's like they were trying to blame like her incompetency on being deaf, which was unnecessary, like to tell
And
that story.
even in like the beginning of the trailer, like the first words that you read is she cannot hear, she cannot see. It's like they're making it seem it's like the worst thing that could happen, like someone can be. They just set it up really poorly too.
I also
No.
feel like.
Oh, sorry.
Wait. Oh, okay. No, I also feel like per se, even if they use the concept of a deaf person, like a deaf person in a horror movie, it kind of doesn't make sense that they make her seem so helpless, like she's alone in a cabin in the woods, like without any support system just in case something would happen. I feel like people do have those set in place, whereas it makes it seem like she's just completely alone with no support whatsoever just because she is. I don't know, like the concept that they try to put up with that was confusing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I actually watched this movie. Worst an hour and a half of my life, honestly. It's not a good movie. So the thing about this movie is sometimes they'll be like, oh, she's deaf. She can't hear, she can't even feel vibrations. And then sometimes she'll be like, oh, she can feel vibrations. So you could tell that the people behind the movie didn't do their research, like really didn't do their research. Like it was really upsetting, honestly. But I thought it was funny. It's a funny movie to laugh at.
I know. I think for me, it's because like it'd be definitely interesting to pursue like having like a disabled person or discussing like people with disabilities on the other side of the aisle, if you will, in the horror genre. But the fact of like how that must be like must in this context be like just very limiting is the ridiculous part to me. You know.
Yeah, it's sad that this movie came out like 2016. Like you would think that they would know better, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think if is ASL like used at all throughout the movie or in an effective way at all? Do we know at all?
No, I watched it. It's
Okay.
not. I mean,
Yeah.
she texts people. That's kind of it.
Okay, so okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I also like to add that I thought like hard of hearing slash deaf person. I'm very, very observational. Like I know who's coming in. Like my dad just turned on the light. I didn't hear him, but I know he's there. My mom. I'm very, very keen to observation. So the way how they put on the trailer, it's just like I guess why wouldn't you be visual person? Like you wouldn't know that there's a stranger outside. So that was something that threw me off because I'm usually the one like I know someone walking in, like there's always a way that you can make up for it or like adapt. So I just didn't like that. Just
For
my
sure,
thoughts.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, this movie is a yep. Okay, so going ahead, how do I now now so we talked about like disability representation. A lot of these people who are like, you know, acting as a disabled person aren't actually disabled, and that's like a whole nother like that's a whole nother controversy that like people get into. But in terms of like disabled actors that actually act in like horror media, there's this guy named Matt Fraser, and
Or actually, Nadia, I think you had before this thing that you actually skipped over.
I skipped no.
Or sure.
Oh, this one? You mean
Yes.
this one? Okay, yeah, but okay, I'll just do this one first. Yeah, Matt Fraser. A lot of times, so like disabled actors who play in horror film, like horror media, they're like kind of, especially with someone with a physical disability, they're kind of like seen as like they play the freaks or like people in circuses. That's kind of like where like disabled actors are kind of in. But I mean, it's kind of now. So there is like some kind of good things happening. So if anyone has seen A Quiet Place, there's a deaf actress who's in the movie and she's actually deaf, and they actually like use it like in her like in the movie. She's an actual deaf actress and she's deaf, which is really cool. And that doesn't really happen often. Usually it's like an actor playing a deaf person. So that's really interesting. And now there's sort of like a trend going on where like disability is seen as like value. If anyone has seen the movie A Quiet Place, so like it's where like, you know, they have to be super quiet. Like if there's any noise, if they make any noise, the monster comes and like gets them. And so they use like ASL, and there's even like a deaf actress in this movie. So like it's kind of interesting how now like that's like a new thing going on where like the disability is kind of used as like survival, which is kind of cool. And then it's also kind of seen as, well, okay, Bird Box is controversial, I know, but Bird Box in some ways, so like this movie Bird Box is if they look at like the monster, they like will like want to kill themselves. So they have to blindfold themselves and try to get to like the sanctuary while being blindfolded, and the sanctuary is a school for the blind, which is like, it's just cool. Like in that sense, they're literally being like, oh, like disability as like a way of survival, which is cool. But yeah, like any thoughts about this one? This is sort of like a new thing happening.
Yeah, I liked how they showed how, like, even in A Quiet Place and this one, they showed that, like, even if you're blind or you're deaf, you're still competent, and you're still, like, able to do what, like, anyone can do. And
Yeah,
they
for
reinforced
sure.
that idea.
Yeah, they definitely. So if you watch like both the movies, they adapt to the surroundings. So it's really cool how they did that.
So I don't know if this makes sense, but I think the like topic of portraying a disability as like a means of survival is cool, but then not to like try to like have like what if syndrome or try to make everything problematic, but at the same time I also feel like with certain disabilities sometimes it is helpful to think of it sort of as like your superpower, something that makes you different and unique and all this stuff. But then sometimes I also feel like that can end up putting, especially if it's in a movies, it can, and if it's movies that everybody sees, it can end up putting a lot of pressure on you as well, where then you kind of like have this feeling of like, oh, so then you're supposed to sort of be this great person that does these amazing things to sort of overcome this horrible thing, you know what I mean? So that's also
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, I think it's important to like see people with disabilities in the media just kind of like living and existing, you know, like everyone
Honestly,
else.
yeah. I totally agree with you. So has anyone seen the TV show Daredevil? Like he's a blind hero, and basically like his blindness makes him like more heroic, and he can feel other senses, and that's like how the media portrays like, that's like, it's kind of annoying. So like if anyone has been asked like, oh, so I'm blind, and I've been asked like, oh, you're blind, so like can you hear better? And it's like, no, like, you know what I mean? They're like, they make it seem as if like, oh, you're like a superhuman now, right? With other things.
That's like precisely the kind of like behavior I'm talking about. because that's
Yeah.
what people see. They're like, oh, so then other parts of you must be like super, like, and you're kind of like, no.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's kind of like, no, we're just normal people doing our own thing.
I think going off what Abigail was saying, like I think like in terms of each disabled person, it's like we don't necessarily have like what we think of as like, superpowers or anything, but like find like different options for stuff and workarounds is like what's really important in that vein. And I don't think that's usually something that the general public really gets to see is how disabled people best adapt to more ableist or not ableist per se, but like more of a generalized able-bodied society, if you will, in that regard.
Yeah. Does anyone have any more thoughts about this one? Okay, I think. Oh yeah, we were gonna do breakout rooms. It's already almost 7:50, so I don't know if we have time for breakout rooms. Do you guys still want to do breakout rooms?
I think like considering like the size of the group that we already have and like discussions that we have, I'm not sure if breakout rooms would be.
Yeah, I think it's. I agree. So, any final thoughts about disability and horror?
I have a question. Do you guys know any films that like accurately represent the disabled? Like, have you guys watched any? Because I haven't, and I'm like curious.
Are you talking about specifically in the horror genre? Because I'm not all that familiar personally.
Okay, I'll
like,
guess.
No, but just like
for me, I'll go. So disability and horror for me was interesting doing research for this, just because like, yes, I knew that like demonizing disability. It's kind of okay. So it's interesting because like, if you look at like the demonizing disability, right? They're generally like white characters, and they're never like people of color. They're generally male and white characters. And then that one time there was like a female. But it's kind of interesting how disability portrayed in media is still seen as like privileged in a way. I don't know how to put it, but you know what I mean? Like, you rarely see a POC person with a disability in like as a main character, which is kind of like sad.
Yeah, true. I definitely agree with Niley in that vein. I think there's definitely, I think in recent years, there have been steps taken within popular media or within TV shows and movies that are representing disability. I'm trying to remember one specific. Not Nelly. I'm trying to remember like the television show that has that. I think it had like one season, or I think it might be renewed for a second season on Netflix, where it's the man with cerebral palsy who's also who's also gay, but I'm trying to remember the name of that. But like, there's definitely
Special. That one,
yes.
right? Special. Yeah.
There's definitely a move towards progression and being able to more accurately describe the disability experience, if it's in either in a prominent way or in or in a lesser way within movies and films. But like given what Natalie was saying, there's definitely still the case of disabled people being represented in media being predominantly white and male. And I'm, of course, not really the best person talking about that, but yeah, there's that tendency that like that disability representation is not fully expansive into other forms of diversity. But I mean, if any other officers have specific specific references for movies and or television shows that have like decent disability representation, please sound off.
I don't have like a TV show or anything to offer, but I do like on the racing. I think it's interesting to note that there's a lot of research on this about how, especially like African American people or Black people in general in the U.S. are just there's this sort of, I want to be like careful with how I articulate this, but there's this idea that they have to be stronger and they're more resistant to pain. They don't feel pain, like especially with Black women when it comes to like medicine, when it comes to incidents of rape in childhood and sexual education in childhood. There's just this idea of like they literally, like, it was thought until not that long ago that like they felt less pain, like literally. So I feel like that also might come into play when it comes to portraying disabilities in the media, because it's almost like, oh, but that doesn't like happen to like Black people or something. Yeah, it's interesting to think about that crossover.
Well, that was really interesting, Abigail. I mean, I've heard like, oh, Black women are stronger, that like stereotype, but that's really interesting how you connected that. Anyone else have their final thoughts?
I feel like disabilities for every person, everyone has a different experience with it. No matter what the title on it may be, everyone has a different level and experience with what they have. So I feel like it's also the responsibility of viewers and the public who are watching like movies or any media content with disability representation to take into mind that that generalization doesn't apply to everyone. So like connecting back to what y'all said about, oh, if people ask you, is your sense of smell heightened because you cannot see or whatever, like that doesn't make sense, but then again, there's some people who say that they do. So it can't be really generalized to everyone with one aspect of the media. So I feel like it's upon the public and the viewers to educate themselves as well.
That's a good point. I agree with you in that.
One thing that I'll add in terms of like my final thoughts about this topic within like disability in the horror genre is, I think like growing up and like kind of looking into what I've seen in like just generally society, I think there's the tendency within our to, instead of, I think for the disability community at large, instead of demonizing per se, I think like less so, more so with psychological or mental disabilities, but I think the disability community at large, there's more of an emphasis on infantilization rather than demonization or villainization. And I think it's just interesting that within specifically the horror genre or like horror within the media, that it's such a common trope to, or like it's a space where disability is in turn demonized. So yeah, it's just a thought that I've always had, I guess.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because like in any other genre with like if disability is represented, it's usually seen as like, oh, look how sad they are, like they're a victim of something. But with horror, it's like, it's interesting how they're the quote unquote villain.
And not just villain, but like kind of this idea of like a threat to society because of the like othering, because they're so different, so they're gonna hurt everybody else, and they're kind of unpredictable and wild and dangerous and all this stuff.
Yeah, so like a lot of this, like, oh, they're a danger to society, that's kind of like dates back to, you know how eugenics back then, they're like, oh, we need to sterilize those people who are quote unquote different, disfigured, you know, gay. Like, it's really upsetting. But yeah, I think it dates all the way back to like how people just eugenics.
Awesome. So I think if nobody else has any final thoughts, it was fantastic to have you guys at this meeting. It's great to have this discussion. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we're excited to see you guys next Wednesday.
Yes. Thank you for coming. Hopefully you guys have a great, wonderful weekend or week. Well, throughout the week, and hopefully it's not super rainy. But yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.